Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. A minute ago, I uploaded a video on the latest Russian missile and drone attack on Ukraine on the morning of the 24th of March 2024, which is Sunday. And this is one of the articles I used. Ukrainska Pravda, 43 air targets downed over Ukraine, and the Russians launched a barrage of 29 cruise missiles from 14 295 ms strategic bombers and 28 Shahed drones. In that video that I uploaded, I showed you the locations where the Russians launched the missile and drone attack on Ukraine, the locations the targets they hit, what kind of missiles, what kind of aircraft, and in this video I will show you how the Russians attacked the Poland territory in Ukraine. And one of the Russian missiles entered again the Polish territory, and the Poles obviously scrambled their fighter jets to defend their country. So the Russians attacked Lviv, and not only, which is I think what the Poles will demand, and I think what the Poles will do when the Russians will fulfill their goals, which is in Ukraine. You know, they have some goals to achieve. If the Russians will get, and I suspect they will, get it their way, then the Poles will do what the Soviets did with the Nazis in Poland. That's the irony, which is they're going to meet somewhere in between. Poles and the Russians will meet. The Poles will get in and get their 2 or 3 or 4 oblasts. They say there's theirs, traditionally, historically. And they will say, we'll do this so we protect our minority. That's exactly what the Russians said about Donbass. We're going to intervene so we protect our minority speaking language Russians, all right? Speaking language, speaking Russian-speaking population in Donbass. But the same thing, I guarantee you, the Poles will do in Lviv, in the western part of Ukraine. So let me show you what these guys did. Obviously, Poland demands the Russians to provide an explanation with this attack on their territories in Ukraine, which I guarantee you the Russians will say, get lost. And the Poles already contacted their bosses and said, they've been under attack, what should we do? Oh, well, why don't you make your own decision? Why don't you attack and retaliate against Russia directly? Oh, not yet? Oh, you need the... Okay, so let's move to this article. What's going on? I have a few articles here and a map. And the Russians also used Kinzhal missiles to attack the Polish territories in Ukraine. First article, Ukrainska Pravda. Russian forces hit Lviv Oblast with Kinzhal air ballistic missiles. This is the MiG-31 with a Kinzhal under its little belly here. So where is this Lviv, the Polish territory in Ukraine? Here is Lviv, Lvov, Lutsk. These are the minimum, I predict, minimum oblast the Poles will get back. Get back. Do you like that, my friends? My Polish friends, do you like that? Get back. They like the Beatles song, get back, to where the one you once belonged. So, I think the Poles will not stop here because they're going to say, well, we need some buffer zone, so we're going to get straight here. Boom. I predict going to draw a line like that. Because after all, if you look at history, the Poles and the Lithuanians Commonwealth was something like all this, including the Poles who really wanted Moldova and this part as well. So this is the demand, and they will get probably as much as they can. They should go to Moscow, but I don't think Al Capone would allow them. So here is where the Russians launched, probably from here, the MiG-31 with the Kinzhals to hit this oblast. Let's see what else these guys are saying. Russian troops fired Kinzhal air ballistic missiles on Lviv Oblast from a MiG-31K jet on March 24th. An air raid warning was issued at 9:31 a.m. Earlier reports indicated that the Russians twice hit the same critical infrastructure facility that the Russians had targeted overnight. And I'm quoting from Mr. Kozitsky. That's very Ukrainian, Kozitsky. Okay. Firefighters who were putting out the fire received a timely warning before the attack. They rushed to a safe place just in time. Where? To safe place like America? Safe space. On the morning of 24th of March, an air raid warning was issued across Ukraine due to 4 Russian MiG fighter jets, potentially carriers of Kinzhal air ballistic missiles, taking to the air. All right, next move. Next move is this. Russian forces target Lviv oblast with 20 missiles and 7 Shahed UAVs, Lviv mayor. So 20 missiles, out of which this guy said what? About 7, what was that? 4 MiGs. So 4 with 4, I would say. 4 with 4, they can carry 2 of them. So makes sense. Now, it doesn't mean that all these things went to the Polish territory in Ukraine, but I'm going to keep saying that. I know you don't like it, some of you. All right, the mayor, Lviv mayor, Andriy Sadovsky, another Ukrainian. Kowalski, Sadovsky, Trotsky, Makalovsky, has reported the Russian troops attacked Lviv Oblast with 20 missiles and 7 Shahed loitering munitions on the night of 23-24 of March. Early reports, I'm quoting, indicated about 20 missiles and 7 attack drones were launched on our oblast. Remember the first article right here that I mentioned with these down drones and missiles? They said there were 29 missile launched and 28 Shahed. Okay, so now we have, out of the 29, 20 were sent to Lviv, to the Polish side, and then you have 28, and these guys launched how many? I forgot. I know. It's only rock and roll, and I like it. All right, where is that? All right, 7 attack drones. There are only 7. Okay, now, on the next article, no, we don't want to subscribe. This is an article that I found at CNN at one point, which is right here. Where is the CNN? It says somewhere. No, this is not. It is from CNN right here, down here. But I couldn't find the CNN. It changed when I put this exact title. Poland activates aircraft after Russian cruise missile aimed at Ukraine enters airspace. This was... No, that was... I'm going to go to the next one in a second. So Poland activates aircraft. Of course it should. Defend its country. The country. On March 24th at 4:23 a.m., there was a violation at Polish airspace by one of the cruise missiles launched tonight by the long-range aviation of the Russian Federation, the Operation Command of the Polish Armed Forces stated. And I'm quoting, the object flew into Polish airspace near the village of Oserdoł, Lublin Voivodeship, and spent 39 seconds in it. It was observed by military radar system throughout its flight. Operational Command added. Great. Good for you. It came after Ukrainian officials reported that Russia had launched around 20 missiles and 7 Shahed attack drones towards the western Ukrainian region of Lviv. Polish territory. Is near the Polish border. CNN reported multiple explosions in Ukraine's capital, Kiev. No, they said I made that in the other video that I mentioned. I uploaded it. All those guys destroyed about 10 missiles over Kiev, and I don't think the Russians were capable of doing anything over there. Why? Because of the Patriot systems. Okay, that's how the story goes. So all necessary procedures to ensure the security of Polish airspace have been activated. Excellent. And I'm quoting, the Polish military is continuously monitoring the situation on Ukrainian territory and remains on constant alert to ensure the safety of Polish airspace. Good, very good. Next article. This is from Reuters. Kiev, Lviv under Russian air attack. Missile violates Polish airspace. Russia launched 57 missiles and drones on Ukraine on Sunday, including attacking Kiev and the western Ukrainian region of Lviv. Officials said, with Poland's armed forces saying one of Russia's cruise missiles briefly violated Polish airspace. They tell us what happens here, how many they launched. I already covered that one. Continue reading. All right. So it says here, the mayor said the same thing as I said over there. And these guys made me read, but then the armed forces said that the aircraft were activated during the attack to ensure pop. Okay, good for you. Poland's airspace, good. You should defend your airspace categorically. What are you gonna do? hit the missile. Ukraińska Pravda. Poland to demand explanation from Russia over missile violating Polish airspace. Yes, the Poles will do that, and they should do that. But on the other hand, what do you think will be the Russians' answer? Exactly, that's exactly how they're going to react. Or if they even bother to spend energy, will say, well, stop providing our enemies with, start participating in a war, and then, accidents will not happen. What do you think it is? Could be a provocation by the Russians, could be a lie by the Poles, maybe it was no missile crossing in it. Maybe it was, maybe it didn't cross, maybe it crossed. This is what these guys report. What do we believe? Without verifying, nothing. Let's move on. So Poland to demand. All right, good. You should. Poland will demand that Russia provide explanations. The explanation would be, we are at war with these guys, you help them, accident happening, and if you keep your mouth running, we're going to smack you. No, you can't, we're too strong, we're going to smack you. Okay, but let's talk with our masters first if we are allowed to smack you alone. Are we going to send our winged warriors, how do you call them, knights, to save, Vienna? After a Russian missile violated NATO airspace on the night of 20 pop. Okay. Poland's foreign ministry, citing Paweł Wronski, Polish foreign ministry spokesperson. Yeah, you're a spokesperson. Since you got Donald Tusk, you have spokespersons, and I identify as Jerkov and all that, as reported by European Pravda. So this guy says that Poland will demand an explanation from the Russian Federation in connection with another violation of Polish airspace. You should do. And I'm quoting, first of all, and I tell you what first of all is. First of all, we provide Ukraine with lethal weapons to kill you Russians. So, you should not demand any explanation from us. We are participating because you are the forces of good and you are the forces of evil. Is that right, Washington, D.C.? They said it's right, must be right. Take it to the bank. So first of all, we urge the Russian Federation or else to stop terrorist airstrikes on the people and territory of Ukraine. Oy vey, really. To end the war and solve the country's internal problems. The Republic of Poland condemns all forms of terrorism and attempts to revise its borders by force. No, you're not going to revise your borders by force. You're going to do it because in the name of common good, of good. Okay, that's what you're going to do, which is fine with me. Why do I care? I mean, but if you, while you are at it, why don't you go and take Moldova as well? Maybe you take Odessa. You have Black Sea access now. Well, history gives us a lot of examples, as far as I know, of the Poles attacking Moldova. For instance, Stefan the Great's Moldova. Okay. In the 15th century, so 1480, 14 and so on. So why don't you go and read that one and see how these invaders came to kill certain people and take their goods and their territory. Yet, so that little veneer of we do condemn, if you look back in history, people change, I understand that one, but a little bit smaller. Now regarding condemning all forms of terrorism. I haven't heard the Poles saying the same thing when the Ukrainians attacked, I don't know, Moscow, for instance. Not military infrastructure. Moscow isn't terrorism. It is terrorism. You terrorize the population by bringing war over the capital of a country. I didn't hear the Poles saying anything about Daria Dugina when she was blown up by no, or about what the other Turchinsky, whatever his name is, the blogger that was blown up in St. Petersburg. I didn't hear that the Poles being so upset about that either. So unless you are trying to be just across the board, not taking your claims and your demands seriously. Now, what you should do, I think you should hit that missile that you claim entered your airspace, if you can, and if you're allowed, by hit it, destroy it, and that's what you. And then if you say, if you do it again, we're going to actively attack you guys in the name of freedom, democracy, self-defense. Oh, you can't use self-defense. Someone else copyrighted that one, trademarked it. You know who? Yeah, exactly. Instead of defense, pop, pop, pop. So you can say that, but you say in the name of the good, and you are the evil. You're gonna do that, and you're gonna attack Russia. The order was not given yet. Now, but could be. Let's move on with this, guys. The Polish armed forces stated that they knew the missile's trajectory, and it was clear that the object would not head deeper into country. Polish and Allied aircraft were scrambled, not Allied. Your masters, the guys that are on your territory protecting you, right? Because you also have military stationed in that country's territory to protect them. No, you don't? Shit. Poland informed NATO allies about the incident. Like what? Albania? Or something? No, they told the Americans, Daddy, my pussy hurts, come and help me. Just kidding. You'll see, Poland will do big things in Europe. I don't think they're necessarily positive for the Poles and everybody else. That's my, when I say Poles, I'm not talking about the whole population. Remember, if you speak with the Polish guys, I think a lot of them might tell you, if they're sincere, and if they really have, and the Poles have balls, might tell you, well, we demand this territory, that territory, that territory, that territory, all this we claim for us. Yeah, Poland right now is hurt. Poland, in general, Polish people think that their country is not big enough. Actually, they're the victims. They need some territories from some surrounding countries that were historically theirs. How? I told you, 15th century. Anyway, so they claim those are theirs, and they are the hurt ones. Now, what does a injured person do when they get the upper hand? Exactly, they fuck everybody else with a vengeance. Be careful. Who's arming the most in Europe? Not Germany, not France, no, it's the Poles. So the Poles will give it back. Poland demands explanation after accusing Russia of violating its airspace. Again, this is the same one. CNN, poop, poop, poop. The war should not have started. It started. How can you stop it? Well, I think it will not stop as long as some big economic interests are still making a huge profit. When they're going to start losing money, then they will probably put pressure on their weasel politicians to stop the shit. And then you're going to find out in a second, the peace will just land over all of us. All right, my friends, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.